This Fleet Equipment Unscripted interview is presented by Hendrickson, a leading manufacturer of heavy-duty suspension systems and components to the global commercial transportation industry. Visit hendrickson-intl.com to learn more.
Hey everyone, Jason Morgan, Content Director for Fleet Equipment. Welcome to Fleet Equipment Unscripted. We are at ATA MC&E. And of course, we're going to check in with Volvo Trucks. We're going to check in with Peter Voorhoeve. We're going to talk with him, get an update. This is becoming kind of an annual thing. So happy to have the chance to talk with him, get his take on the developments in the market this year and what he's looking forward to in 2023. So let's cut to that interview. Again, we did this last year too, so kind of good to reconnect here at
Always
ATA.
a pleasure.
So I want to touch on the market share that you've mentioned.
Yeah.
You mentioned this a couple times. You're gaining market share. What do you see driving that? I mean, you've been heavy on the electromobility and electric truck narrative here for a while, really pushing that through. But market share really comes from delivering on customers on all levels, right?
Yeah.
So where do you see you really winning that market share with fleets right now?
Well, I think we're winning the market share. We're focusing a lot on customer satisfaction, and that sounds a bit boring, but it is actually a really important way to get people come to the brand, stay with the brand. I think our offering is appealing. It's the truck that we launched in 2017, the new VNL, the new VNR, especially the VNR, as well as a very good truck for regional distribution. But the driver environment that we have is really appealing to many new customers. So I think that with the existing customers that we have, we seem to penetrate deeper into their fleets, but we also see a lot of new customers coming to us. The market share gains does not come from selling electric trucks because that volume is not important enough, but I do believe that many customers find their way to our offering through the electric offering, because we have now not only a full suite of services on the diesel side, we have a full suite of services on the electromobility side as well.
Right. Do you see, and something you alluded to, I think, at the press conference yesterday, the sustainability narrative that Volvo has been involved with for a long time now. But do you see that fleets taking an interest on that side with the diesel side too? I mean, you have the iTorque this year and all the additional engine and transmission benefits. Is that a narrative that's resonating in the diesel world as well with fuel efficiency and decarbonization?
Oh, absolutely. If fuel efficiency plays directly into the bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
But not only that, many of our customers, many of our partners have now a sustainability strategy themselves. So you can combine that, right? iTorque is a beautiful example of how we use our innovation and our technology in a way so that you are better for the environment, right? Better sustainable, and at the same time you save up to 3% fuel or something like that, depending on where you're coming from.
Right.
We had customers that were, when we introduced turbo compounding and iTorque, some customers were a little bit hesitant, oh, you sure? And now they don't want anything else anymore. So it's the offering is really appealing right now. And of course I'm biased because it's my offering, but yeah.
Right. Yeah, but I mean, still, fuel prices being what they're being.
Yeah, I mean, $5 a gallon, right?
Yeah, every time you drive by, it seems like diesel's going up.
Exactly.
Touching base on some of the technology announcements and bullet points you had here at the press conference too. So you released the total cost of ownership calculator for electric trucks, right? So how is this more than just we've seen some calculators before from other companies that it's kind of a widget that you kind of move around, but how are you adding in all the information and data that you've learned over through the LIGHTS project and working with other customers rolling this out? I mean, you mentioned that it has even state, you can say which state you're in and it calculates all that, right? Yeah. So what's going into it from that lessons learned side?
Well, basically everything we've learned, right? We have a rather large team in the whole electromobility segment, right? Whether that is public affairs or whether that is our services or whether that is our engineers, our technicians, our salespeople. I mean, everybody is in there. And in the LIGHTS project, we kind of wrote everything down in the book. Now what we have done is we have said, okay, well, let's then try to answer the question, how and when is it profitable? And that was not, by the way, based upon the customer demands, because the customers basically ask us, can you help me? Can you help us with executing on our sustainability strategy? And then, of course, when you go into larger amounts of electric vehicles, then at a certain moment you also start to ask yourself, okay, well, what's the cost price of all this and how does it benefit my bottom line? Right. So we've basically taken all the elements that we know, and there's lots of variables, and so we've what we've done in the total cost of ownership tool, calculator is a strong word. We call it a tool.
Okay.
Because it's still, of course, there's many variables in there, there's many changes in there, but at least it gives you some anchor point, right? So that you know a little bit, because when you see the numbers in a row, then you can start in a fact-based way. There's still a lot of opinions in the whole electromobility area. In a fact-based way, you can determine, okay, well, so this is happening. Is that logical? Is that logical? And it makes it easier. The decision-taking process is a bit easier.
Right. Well, and even understanding the total cost of ownership and ROI curve of an electric vehicle versus we got about 2 years under the belt now at this point too. And when you look at a diesel vehicle, anything 3 to 4 years, and then I have a trade cycle that I get into, you got to kind of think a little longer on the battery side, right?
Yeah, exactly, and that's very interesting that you say that, because where does the trade cycle come from? The trade cycle for many customers on the diesel side is driven by the engine, and we know the behavior of an engine maintenance-wise.
Right.
But for an electric vehicle, you have a completely different driveline, so your trade cycle is most probably completely different as well.
Right.
Because you don't trade a vehicle because of the age of the cab.
Right.
Right, you trade a vehicle because of the age of the driveline. Well, this driveline is completely different.
Right.
Needs to review the trade cycle, so it's very interesting.
Right. Yeah, and even like you said, there are some projections there, because you're not at your 8-year life cycle yet, right? But I'm guessing that you'd have enough service information after about 2 years now, and to kind of have
slowly getting
projection.
there. Yeah.
Okay, one last thing that I think is a topic that has considerable showing here at the show is autonomous truck. I feel like everybody has an autonomous truck in their booth. You have your Aurora truck here. It was at ACT Expo, I believe, this year as well. So we'd seen it before, which is very cool. Where are we at with the reality of it? I know you spoke to it a little bit at the press conference, but will it happen eventually? Like, is there a future in which level 4?
Oh, it will definitely happen.
It's happening, and
so everybody's jumping on it, and we've seen many examples, really stylish examples, and significantly less stylish examples, by the way. So it's interesting. Everybody's kind of working in their space. This will happen. But what I said in the press conference as well, right? It's not a race. We're going to do this in a good and in a safe way. We're at a pretty good pace. We have one key customer now signed up, DHL. We're going to do that together with them. It's not a pilot. It's just our first contract that we have.
Right.
And this will happen in areas where it makes sense. So repetitive transport legs with repetitive transport, those legs where, for instance, a logistics company can say, well, rather than using my drivers there, I can use them in other places, and then we do that in a more economical way. But we're still figuring out together with DHL is not one partner we have announced, but we have some other partners that we have not announced yet. So we're determining where does it make sense. We strongly believe it will be complementary to what we already do. It will not cannibalize the transport. Mm-hmm. So if we sell our trucks today in different applications, I don't think it will cannibalize that. It will be complementary. It will be additional, incremental, so to speak.
As like a rollout to the market, so increasing. And it seems to me the more I talk about it and hear about it and look at it here at the show, there is just kind of a gulf between what the technology can do and then what regulations will allow, and the difference between you got level 2 right now, having a level 3 where a driver is still responsible and jumping in. Do you see a level 3 viable, or are you going to jump from basically level 2 right to 4?
Level 2 to level 4.
Okay.
Because level 3 makes sense in a passenger car.
Right.
I mean, I have pilot assist in my car, but you sit in your seat and you drive an hour, you drive maybe 2 hours or something like that.
Right.
A truck driver is completely different. You cannot sit back and relax and then when something happens you need to no, that doesn't work for a truck driver, to my opinion.
Right.
No, it's going to be level 4.
Yeah, and I mean there's the jump between then taking someone out of the seat, and then it seems like the technology is moving really quickly. Is there anything that, when you work with partners or fleets out there that are interested, how can they help push some of the regulation or testing or conversation forward on that end to make sure that they're ready? Because like in California, you got to have your hands on the wheel at all time. I mean, it's going to take a sea change of regulation to be like, okay, well, we'll not allow it in the truck, whereas like Nevada is licensing autonomous vehicles to some degree, where you can have your hands off.
We need to see a little bit how that goes. I think with the technology maturing now, with testing going on, regulators will we work together with regulators. They will follow, and then we will hopefully come to a sensible regulation. But that needs a little bit of time as well.
For sure. Hey, well, I appreciate you taking the time. Wonderful, always catching up with you. Thank you very much.